That's what anxiety is. It's actually a crisis in you believing in your capability to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to be very clear that for anybody that's uncertain, you're not uncertain. You're actually doubting your capacity to handle it. And the truth is, you can handle it.
Hello and welcome back to the U Up podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. It is especially good to be back here with you because we have a very special guest. She is a motivational speaker, podcast host, former lawyer, author of several books, and her latest book, The Let Them Theory, is out now. You can go buy it. You can go get it. It's in the description of this episode. Mel Robbins, thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
We're so excited to have you on. You were like a dating, relationships, like I would say, like expert, and just feel we so motivational in that space.
Well,
so
you guys will be the judge of that when we're done with this conversation, because I think everyone's going to hate the advice.
Well,
Oh,
I don't
really?
think so.
Yes, I do.
Okay, why are they going to hate it?
Well, because I'm going to tell you the truth.
Right.
And the truth is the people that you're dating aren't the problem, you are.
You're the
Wow.
problem.
hear
Of
that,
course.
Jared?
Yes.
It's me.
It's you.
Yes, you know.
Was this an intervention for me?
It is.
I didn't tell. We didn't tell you.
I'm
Let's
the
tell
issue?
him right now.
The door's locked.
Yes, it is a padded door.
It's padded.
Yes,
Oh my
and you're going to start
God.
crying like a child and beating the walls when I tell you what the problem is, dude.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Well, what do you mean by that? And I think we're.
I
we can
think
use-
anyone would admit that they're the issue a little. I
Well-
think anyone would
well,
say.
here's- go
any
ahead.
realistic dater would say they know it's things about them, but then they rationalize. You know, no one makes themselves the villain. Everyone makes themselves the hero. So, how do you break through that to go? You're not a villain.
I
but
love
it
this.
is
We're
you.
jumping right in. I love
Right.
it. Okay,
Well,
yeah, let's
if
do
you're
it.
saying you're the problem.
Yes.
then
Yeah.
when you say okay, easy. No, but when you say you're the problem to someone, me,
Yes,
I'll be the person you're talking to. I will find my way to, I know I'm the problem, but I don't give a fuck.
Okay, well then you're never going to change, and this is a waste of our time, and I'm leaving.
That's it. Okay. So
No, and here's
Very
why.
short
here's-
episode.
Well,
Here's why.
we'll be back next week. Go buy the book.
Yes. So no. So we're going to talk about something called the let them theory.
Mm-hmm.
And the let them theory is something I discovered 2 years ago.
Okay.
It is a simple mindset tool that will show you in an instant what's in your control and what is not in your control.
How did you discover it?
Yes.
It is, I'm embarrassed to tell you that I discovered it at a high school prom.
You went to prom?
You're just at prom.
Well, that would be fucking creepy.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no, I did not go to prom.
Bring in the police.
Yes, exactly. No, my
Reverse
son
intervention.
was going to prom.
Okay.
And we had already had 2 daughters that had gone through prom. So I'd been through 4 high school proms. And, you know, they're like a 6-month goddamn Instagram influencer situation with promposals and tans and all
It's a
this
little
crap.
different. I mean, it's
Than
weird
our
to
day,
think we've,
yeah.
I feel young. I feel like it was yesterday, but it's also, there's a different prom thing going on
Oh,
right now.
there's a
Like,
different
The promposal
everything.
wasn't like a thing.
There's a different everything. It's different with weddings, with like marriage proposals, with gender reveals. Like all
The
of that
added
has
element
become
of the
this
attention from social
thing.
media. Yeah.
Exactly. And so when Oakley's prom rolled around, I just thought, okay,
Your son's name is Oakley?
it is
Oakley Robin?
Oakley Robbins.
That sounds like that.
Isn't that cool?
That's like a superhero name.
Yeah.
right. He
sounds
is,
very-
he is a fucking.
gonna be
And the
famous.
glasses existed?
Well, it's
Do you
a-
live a glasses life?
I,
You went with the
I live
glasses
in
look?
southern Vermont. We are big skiers and hikers
Okay.
and outdoors people. So yes, I live a glasses, cool ass life.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a last name on my husband's side of the family.
Got it.
So,
Very nice.
anyway, so I thought it would be chill. It was the worst because he was so non-committal about going that it was like 2 days before the prom where he's like, oh, I think I'm going to go. And I think I'm going to ask this person. I'm like,
2 days before.
Yes,
Wow.
and we
Okay.
now
Who's
live-
this loser without a date 2 days
well,
before?
he was just sort of like, I don't know if I want to go.
Not
I don't
him,
know if
the
our friends are going to
girl.
go.
Yeah, the girl.
And so, of course, I'm now like, how the hell am I going to find a tux in 2 days in southern Vermont? How you want what? You want the white Adidas? Get on Zappos, get the... So the ramp up in those 48 hours, and plus we had been talked into hosting the post-prom party, which is a whole nother thing. So we get to the pre-prom photo situation, right? Where there's 20 kids dressed up and everything's great. And all of a sudden it starts to rain. And by rain, I mean pouring rain.
Yeah.
Nobody's ready. High heels, tuxes, and plus everyone's driving. There's no limo or bus or anything. Everyone's driving their pickup trucks to the prom, so it's a whole different situation. And as it starts to rain, all the parents, you know that feeling as a parent or as an adult that's a control freak, where you start to feel that wave of stress hit you.
Right.
And then you start to feel yourself about to do things that you know you're going to regret. And so I start going, where are you going? And, you know, maybe I should get us a reservation. And I'm like, do you have dinner reservations? Where are you going? And Oak's like, I think we're going to go to the taco stand. I'm like, the taco stand? In the pouring rain?
In Vermont?
Yes.
Okay.
In your tuxes?
Right.
It's outside? Like, do you have a brain? And my daughter was home from college, and she saw this happening, and she reaches out and grabs my arm and yanks me. And she's like, Mom, you're being annoying. Like, knock it off. If they want to go out in the rain, let them. If they want their tuxedos to be wet, let them. If he's going to ruin it, let them. If they want to eat at a taco stand, let them. It's their prom, not yours. Let them do what they want to do.
It's very Taoist,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And so it was like that cascading, let them, let them, let them, that just made me release the control. And so I was like, hey, Oak. And he's like, what? Because, of course, I was annoying and controlling as hell. And I'm like, well, here's $40, bud. Go have fun. And then you saw him release. And then the next day, I was at the grocery store. And you know when you're at the grocery store and there's like 5 people in line and there's one cash register open?
Yeah.
And it's like, beep, beep, beep. How do you feel?
Irritated.
Yes.
Yes.
And you feel this wave take over. And next thing you know, you're fidgeting. And then you're up in your head going, you know, oh, why aren't they opening a cash? Why haven't they done an announcement? You're looking around at all the other employees like, you idiots. Like, why aren't you getting up there and helping out? And I said, let them. Because here's the thing. Your time and energy are the single most important resource in life.
Right.
Because where you pour your time and what you put your energy into is what your experience of life is. And the more I said let them, which, by the way, was always about somebody else, because people are annoying and irritating and you worry about them and they piss you off and their behavior hurts you or they disappoint you. But all day long, I was saying, let them, let them, let them. Whether it was my friends going out for lunch, not inviting me, let them.
When it comes to dating, how would you what's a scenario that you would use this theory in?
When they sneak out the door in the morning like a cat, let them.
As you do.
Yeah, let them.
Okay.
When they do not treat you with the respect that you deserve, let them. When they don't want to put a label on it, which, by the way, means they don't like you. It means they want to fuck other people. It means you're not a priority. Let them.
Jared, you should have her write your breakup text.
Right.
No, literally, let them. And here's
time.
why.
Yeah.
People reveal who they are
Right.
through their behavior. Do not listen to what somebody says.
Okay.
Watch what they do. Let them reveal who they are and whether or not you are a priority, because they do that through their behavior. And the problem is we focus all our energy on what the other person is doing. And by doing that and worrying about it and bitching about it and talking about it to your girlfriends, what you're doing is you're excusing away and explaining somebody else's behavior because you don't like it. And so you got to say the first part of this theory is, which is let somebody reveal who they are. And there's nothing confusing about people's behavior. They either like you or they don't. They either want to be with you or they don't. What's confusing is how you go up in your head and you explain it away. You're not in a relationship with the reality of what's happening. You're in a fantasy in your mind. And that's the problem. And that's why I say you're the problem. You're the problem because you give power to other people's behavior and opinions and moods. And then instead of coming back and letting them explain who they are and whether or not they're interested in you through their behavior, because it's very clear to tell when somebody's interested in you. In fact, the only people that upset you and confuse you are the ones that actually aren't interested in you. Have you ever noticed that? You truly know when somebody likes you because of their behavior.
Well, what if someone has an annoying behavior that you would still like to change, but you still like to, but they like you?
Okay, well, here's the thing about other human beings. There's one thing on the planet you will never be able to change, and that's another person.
Okay.
And so if there's something about them that you don't like, it falls into a couple categories. Well, first of all, you have to accept they're never going to change until they're ready to change.
Right.
And they're never going to change for you. They change for themselves. That's when people change. People change when they are ready to change and when they feel like changing and when they can change. And so if you're with somebody, and so let's say you're in a relationship with somebody, first of all, you got to let them be who they are. You got to let them be who they're not. And if you're with somebody who is a complete slob, that you got to let them be a slob. But then this is the second part of the theory. Let me. Because in life, there are 3 things you can control and only 3 things. And those 3 things are what you think about the situation or the person. It's what you do or you don't do in response to the person. And it is how you allow your feelings to rise and fall, or whether or not you have your feelings just run you or the other person over. That's all you got in life. What you think, what you do, and how you process your emotion. And so if I'm with a slob and it irritates the hell out of me because I have been married for 28 years, I'm the slob. Like if you look at my husband's bathroom counter, it literally looks like a Zen hotel.
Okay.
If you look at mine, it looks like somebody tipped over a Walgreens aisle on the top of my countertop. It drives my husband absolutely bananas, okay? It's irritating. We've had lots of conversations about it. At the end of the day, I try my best to clean things up. I have ADHD. I run late. I'm a slob. It is what it is.
Right.
Chris has had to learn to let Mel be Mel, to learn how to accept me exactly as I am without trying to change me. And in doing so, what happens, you then go, let me ask myself, is this thing that irritates me something I can live with? Or am I choosing to be with a human being that has a character trait or has a quality about them that I hate and that I resent and that I bitch about to my friends and that I hold over them? Because if that's what you're doing, this is going to be the reason you break up 2 years from now. It's going to be the reason why you waste 2 years of your life, because you are in a relationship with somebody who you do not actually accept as they are. And here's the thing. People can learn skills. People that are slobs can learn how to be a little bit better. I've learned how to be a little bit better.
Right.
And there's a big difference between somebody having a skill that they can learn, whether it's cooking or making their bed or being a little bit more on time or using a different tone of voice, versus being with somebody who has completely different values or a completely different vision for their life. Like, for example, if you're with somebody who's sort of like, man, I don't know if I want kids. You're an idiot if you want kids and you're with somebody who says, I don't want kids.
Right.
How do you speak to, so many times we talk about dating issues here, and we always say easier said than done. Like that is like the overarching umbrella of this whole thing, because as someone myself who's single, going through these things, talking about single life, we always say we're not an expert. I'm just giving an opinion on what I see in front of me. This is all, what you're saying is correct. But like, the let them and then the let me, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
You're dealing with someone's fear.
Yeah.
Of the fear of the unknown. How do you speak to that? How do you get someone who comes to you and says, I'm dealing with this person that they're not amounting to what, I'm letting them all day long.
Right.
Now what?
Okay, well, let me. Now it's on you. Because you get
How
to
do you get to that point? Like,
Well,
how do you
it's
go
very
from let them
simple.
to let me? Because, I think I can understand someone sitting here going, someone listens to a podcast, they
Well,
live
let's
in
use
the
a
world.
concrete example. I think that's
Sure.
a little easier. Like,
Right.
give me an example of
Well,
what
you talk about the baby thing. The guy says, I don't know. That's pretty easy to rationalize. Well, he doesn't know yet. He doesn't know. Well, when are you gonna know? I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm pretty sure I want to have a kid.
Okay.
So like even she's unsure.
Okay.
So, but she mentions the clock, biological clock, which is
Yeah.
all totally true. This guy, he is what he is. Like you said, let them. How do you get someone to see that there might be
here's
better
the
out
thing.
there if they think, well, what if it's worse? What if this is the biggest mistake of my life?
Well,
Leaving this-
here's the piece about the unknown. So anytime you feel nervous or you're kind of unsure or you have a bout of anxiety, all that anxiety or nerves is a moment where you're not certain, right? And then you doubt your capability and capacity to handle it. That's what anxiety is. It's actually a crisis in you believing in your capability to handle it. And so I want to be very clear that for anybody that's uncertain, you're not uncertain. You're actually doubting your capacity to handle it. And the truth is, you can handle it. And what I say to people that are uncertain is, don't think about this moment. Think about your deathbed. Truly think about your deathbed. And when you look up and you're about to take the last breath of your life, who's standing there? Is
I
it
better be in a king size bed.
right? Yeah, well,
I
you
better
can
have
be
a
wherever
nice
the fuck
bed.
you want.
Okay, I just.
But
mean,
do you want you want your spouse and life partner? Do you want your children and grandchildren surrounding you? Or do you have a vision that it's just you and your friends? Because too many of us, when we're making these decisions about, do I want any kids? Do I want 2? Do I want 3? We're thinking about right now. This is a decision that impacts the entire course of your life. This is not a decision to kind of like, I'm not sure. Like, I'm the kind of person that's super intentional because I truly believe that if you can figure out what you want in life and you can visualize it, that it is possible for you to do the work to get it. And the truth is, there are 8 billion people on this planet, and they're not all on the frickin' dating apps. That if you're single and you want to meet somebody, it's on you. Are you talking to people in line at the coffee shop? Are you actually open to meeting people as you're moving through your life? Or are you sitting there working the filters, coming up with some sort of Frankenstein version of a human being and closing yourself off to the possibility of meeting somebody who doesn't like fulfill the check boxes on your wish list, like a freaking, I don't know, like we've all gotten to this point where we're giving power to apps. We're giving power to immature behavior. We're giving power to our fears that we're going to be the single one forever, that we're going to waste. And we already spent 2 years chasing the potential. And if we end this, even though we know it's not truly the right thing for us, if we end this, it means I'm back out there again.
Right.
That fear is real. But here's what I'm going to tell you. If you actually believed that the person of your dreams was in your future, how would you operate right now?
You'd have some fun. I would imagine.
You might stay in the relationship and work at it, because that could also mean that you're going to do work, because I will give you the research about this because I think it's really helpful. First of all, when you look at long-term successful partnerships, only 11% of people have the spark and the instant connection. The other 89% slow burn. Because over time, what happens is all that excitement and attraction and all that stuff that happens in the beginning, which is super fun, it kind of dials down. And what becomes more important is that you actually feel like yourself.
Right.
You don't need makeup. You're not worried about your hormonal acne in the morning. You're able to just relax. You
Let yourself go.
Yeah. You want the person.
Make
No,
it
seriously,
sound
you
so
want to feel
beautiful.
like you are at home base.
Yeah.
That's how you want to feel when you come home. And so the slow burn actually helps you realize what actually matters in a relationship. And it's not all this shiny status shit that we're all chasing. So that's number one. Number two, what's really important is that almost 70% of the stuff that you kind of are annoyed by never goes away. Never goes away. The fact that the person wants to watch golf all weekend, that's not going away. The fact that, they snore it's probably not going away. The fact that they're not particularly ambitious at this moment might not go away.
Right.
And that's okay, because the research shows that there will always be things that annoy you about the person. I mean, Chris is my most favorite person on the planet. He drives me fucking crazy at times.
Right.
Because two things can be true at once. You can love somebody profoundly, and you can still have negative opinions about them. But when you let them be who they are, and you let them be who they're not, you actually create the space for true connection, acceptance, and love to be true. Right. And then you let me decide what matters and what doesn't. And here's how you know if you're in a situation that's a deal breaker. Number one, being with this person requires you to give up on your values. If you have to give up on what you value, then this is going to create resentment.
Give an example of this.
Children.
Living
Close to your family on the East Coast instead of staying, out west where they live.
What about smaller? Like if someone's dating someone, they've been on 2 dates with someone. What would be an example of like a value that you could see in the first 2 dates?
That they treat the people that are working in a restaurant terribly.
What if they take 3 hours to answer your text?
Well, to me, I think it depends, because here's the thing. People are busy. And I think you can get into a lot of trouble when you get very transactional about texting. Just because you have the time right now to text somebody doesn't mean they have the time.
Right.
And if they read it, maybe they read it and thought, oh, I'm going to respond to that. And then they got pulled into a meeting. Let them not respond.
You don't think
Let
that
them
means
take
they
3
don't
hours.
like you?
I don't think it means anything.
No?
Not on the second date. No.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever?
I think, but here's the thing. I think you should text when you want to text.
Okay.
But you should let them respond when they're going to respond. And look, if this is chronic and this is how this plays out, that tells you you're not a priority. But then when you let somebody not respond right away, then you got to come back to the let me part. Let me decide what I'm going to think about this. Let me decide what I'm going to do and not do. And let me decide how I'm going to process the emotion. Am I going to let the wave of stress and insecurity turn me into a psycho stalker? And then am I going to go talk to all of my friends about it and psychoanalyze it so I blow up the fact that they didn't respond and they haven't been responding into this big thing? And if you feel something for somebody and you reach out and you're open and you're not playing games and you're just kind of matter of fact about it, if they like you, you're going to know. You will.
Right. All right, let's use another example.
Uh-huh.
What if they, you're supposed to go out, they don't text you until like, or they ask you out same day. It's not your preference.
What do you mean it's not your preference?
Like they're asking you, do you want to do something tonight? No notice.
Okay,
I don't
why
know.
is that a problem?
I think people think that doesn't involve a lot of thought or planning.
Like that's horseshit.
think you're fine
That
with
means
that?
somebody likes you and
Okay.
they'd like to see you.
Okay.
Like why does it require planning?
Right.
Let them actually have the courage and the confidence and just the transparency to be like, well, how about tonight?
Well, I guess it could be hard to know whether someone is, doesn't like you said, or is putting in minimal effort.
But here's the thing. What if it's not about them? What if all the power is within you? What if instead of watching their energy like a hawk and watching what they do, you just let them be who they are and you let them reveal how they operate? And then you come back and say the let me part. Let me remind myself that I am actually in control of where I put my time and energy. Let me remind myself that I get to decide if I'm going to work myself up into an insecure frenzy over this dipshit or if I am going to go about my day. Let me remind myself that the more that I keep operating in a way that is consistent with who I am, I wear the funky outfit because that's who I am. I'm not trying to dress like some Instagram model. I'm just dressing like me. And what if you actually trusted that the problem all along has been that you've been chasing love, that you've been contorting yourself into something that you think you're supposed to be because of all this shit on social media and all this insecurity that we have? What if you just trusted that who you are is good enough for you, which means it's going to be good enough and potentially fantastic for the person you're supposed to be with? Because you're not supposed to be with somebody in life that you don't feel comfortable being yourself with. And there's so much pretending going on and there's so much faking it that the power move is actually to say, let me just be myself. If I want to fucking text this person, I'm going to text this person.
Right.
If I want to express myself and I come on a little too strong, then so be it. Then I'm not the right person. Like, because you're not going to be too much for the right person.
Right.
What if dating is actually not a process of yes, but a process of no? And not them saying no, but you saying no.
Yeah. No, I think that's...
Yeah, you're
that's-
speaking our language.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's tough for people maybe that are going through it again and again.
Yeah, and if you're going through it again and again,
right,
there's two things to look at, because there's also research about this that I bumped into as I was discovering Let Them and Let Me. And here's the other thing I love about Let Them and Let Me. Everybody understands these concepts. Everybody understands intellectually that if they're interested, you'll know. If they're not, you're confused, right?
Right.
Everybody knows that, but nobody knows how to apply it. And Let Them and Let Me is a tool. Because when you say let them, you are immediately recognizing what is not in your control. And what's not in your control is actually what another person thinks, feels, says, or does. And so you immediately, in saying let them, you remind yourself that I'm not in control of this human being. I'm not in control of whether or not they like me. I'm not in control of whether or not they want to put a label on this. I'm not in control of whether or not they want kids or they don't. I'm not in control of their drinking. I'm not in control of their hobbies. I'm not in control of their friend group.
Yeah.
And so I got to let them. And what that does, and this is super important because nobody realizes, I definitely did not realize how much time I was pouring into something I couldn't control. I didn't realize how much stress and frustration I created for myself because I was trying to control other people. But then the other thing that happens, and this is super important, is that when you say let them, there's a little bit of superiority that happens. Because when you detach from somebody who, let's say you slept with them and they go radio silent,
Yeah.
it fucking hurts.
Right.
Of course it hurts. That's not a sign that you did something wrong. It's actually a sign you're mentally well.
Okay.
Because if you weren't hurt by the fact that you just had intercourse with somebody and this incredible experience and all this fun and you wanted to see them again and they don't choose you back, it's a sign that you're working well in your head if that
Right.
hurts you.
Right.
But what the problem is that we then take that hurt and aim it at ourselves. And when you say let them reveal who they are. Let them reveal that they're actually not interested. And let me remind myself, I actually want something different.
Okay. So then what do you do? Okay. In that scenario.
I know, yeah.
So in that scenario, you go out, you've been on a few dates, sleep with a guy, haven't heard from him.
Yeah.
So you're saying in your head, I totally get what you're saying. You're saying, let them do whatever they're going to do. It's going to play out however it's going to play out. What do you do then next? Like
Well,
you internally.
You have to ask yourself, is this a relationship that I'm interested in pursuing, knowing full well that this person is not interested in the same thing that I want? And you have to focus on the let me part, because what I notice over and over again is that we're giving all the power to the other person. And when you do that, you actually forget that you actually have power over your response. And this is how you take responsibility. And let's talk about the word responsibility. Responsibility is the ability to respond.
Okay.
And you, by focusing on that person and pouring your energy and worrying about managing, talking about your girlfriend, blah, 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 blah. If they're not texting you back, or they're almost worse is texting you all the time, but never taking it offline.
That is worse. Yeah.
Because that just means they're bored.
Right.
And that
And
just
it's a
means
mixed
you're
message,
It's not a
yes.
mixed message.
You don't think it's a mixed message?
There are no mixed messages.
Okay.
What is mixed about somebody never actually doing anything but texting you?
They're showing their interest. They're interested in continuing to speak to you.
They're bored.
Okay.
Because if they were actually interested, they would be suggesting that you meet up and do something.
So what do you do with that? I'm saying like practically, like, okay, let's
Then
say
you just
said-
say, so there's a couple things you could do. You could be the one. Let me just actually text back and say, hey, you want to grab dinner Thursday?
Okay.
I'm like, no, I'm busy. Great. Do you want to grab dinner next week sometime? No. Okay. I'm interested in spending time with people that want to spend time with me. If you decide that you ever want to go out for dinner, let me know. Okay. And then don't text them back. Because here's the thing, and this is also true. Like, let's say you get to the space in a relationship where you've been hanging out, you've been having sex, you haven't put a label on it, you both know you're still on the apps.
Most anxiety prone time.
Right? Well, only if you're choosing to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's going to come a moment in time where you know that you want to take this to the next level, whether it's a label, or it's moving in together, or it's getting engaged, or it is telling your parents you're dating, or introduce, whatever that
it is,
next
yeah.
level may be. This is how you handle it. You do not wait for them to have the conversation. And the way that you have the conversation is you're going to follow this script. You ready?
I'm ready.
So first of all, you're going to walk into this conversation and you're going to realize you cannot control them. And the hardest thing about love is that you have to choose it and create it. But sometimes the person that you really are interested in, they're not going to choose you, and they're not going to want to create it with you.
Right.
And so here's how you have the conversation. You go in like an adult and you own your side of it. And you basically say, you know what? This has been fucking awesome. I love hanging out with you. You're hilarious. The sex has been amazing. And here's the thing I need to tell you. I'm a person that really values my time and what I put my energy into. And I've gotten to the point where I would really love to just like take this, like whatever you want to say. I'd really love to be boyfriend and girlfriend. I would really love to move in together. And if this isn't the same thing that you want, that's totally cool. But I just know myself, and I don't want to spend any more time or energy with you unless we want the same things.
Right.
And that's it. Nothing about like, we've been leading on and I love you.
No, I
and all
know.
this shit like that I pour on
Yeah.
you. Like when you hear somebody say, I respect my time and energy, and I've gotten to the point where I actually want to put more time into this, which means I want to be exclusive.
Jared, has a woman ever said anything like that to you?
Yeah, I've had it said, I mean, like, it's funny. I'm listening, and everything you're saying is true. It's funny that we all come to these like same spots from different angles.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, we call it the reveal here. You know, where reveal how I feel.
I consider you
you my boyfriend. And then they go back and they're gonna make a decision from there. They're either gonna be with you or they're not.
They have to opt out.
They're gonna opt out of that.
But see, I consider you my boyfriend actually works against neuroscience. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because now I'm pressuring you. Now I'm telling you what I expect of you. Now I am making an assumption. And in the way that you use the let them theory, I'm making no assumption about where you stand. And I'm not telling you that I consider you my boyfriend. I am saying I value my time and energy. And what I want to pour more time into is a relationship with somebody who wants the same thing as me.
I mean,
And so
aren't we like?
I'll tell you why.
semantics?
Because no, I don't think it is, and here's
Okay.
why. We are hardwired to have a need for control. It is part of the human design. It's a survival instinct. And so you need to feel like you're in control of your decisions, of your thoughts, of your future, of your job, of your environment. And when other people worry you or they piss you off or you are concerned about them or they're not meeting your expectations, right? Then we make a mistake. We step across the line and we try to control the other person. We have an expectation about what we want them to do. We put a label on it. And what happens if I then, Jared, tell you what I expect of you, I'm now pushing up against your need to control yourself. And so when I tell you that I already believe, I'm already operating like you're my boyfriend, the first thing I would hear if somebody said, Mel, I'm already operating like you're my girlfriend, I'd be like, hold on a second. Because I need to control that decision.
It needs to be your idea.
Correct.
Right.
People don't change unless it's their idea and they're ready and they feel like it. So I would never say that. I would
Yeah,
say
I
I
guess-
value my time and
I guess
energy.
if I was at that point,
Yep.
I wouldn't. To me, like this is kind of like where I'm like I don't. I think a lot of this. I know that the audience usually isn't going to do what you're saying.
I don't care because
I know, but
I'm
I'm
not
just saying,
responsible
like,
for their life.
But that's kind of what the reason to. I know you're
Well,
not. I'm just saying.
No,
like,
but no, this is really
Right.
important
Well, I
to hear because the person that's listening to this right now or who's going to send this to a friend, you have to understand something. If you're not actually getting what you want in your love life, the problem is how you are showing up.
Let's say you keep finding yourself in this scenario, right? Where you're dating someone 3 months, you want to be in a relationship, they don't, right? Or like you're getting to that point, and then you're saying like, all right, this is kind of you, like you're getting the relationships that you are basically asking for in some way, shape, or form. So what advice would you give to that person? Either I go on 3 dates and then the guy never calls me, or I go out, I'm keep dating these guys for 3 months. When it comes time to commit, they're not interested. Like we see this, and I think that's the frustration with a lot of our daters is they see this over and over and over again, and they're like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah. So based on the research, there's two things to look at. Is this a pattern? So if you keep finding this same thing happening, you are probably chasing the potential of what could be, or you are picking people who are actually actively unavailable because you're either meeting them while cheating, or you are going for a certain type, or you love to pick problems that you're going to fix or projects that you're going to work on, or you are inserting yourself and you continue to keep yourself close to the person and their friends, hoping that this is going somewhere. And so if this is a pattern, then you're not going to fix it by dating somebody. You have to take a moment of self-reflection and actually figure out what is it about love or your childhood that has you pick people that treat you in a way that's less than you deserve, because you're the one that's putting yourself in this situation. The other thing that I would say is that I would look at your filters, because I think one of the massive problems
Like
with
dating
online
app filters.
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody has Frankensteined their filters. Oh, okay, I'll take a person this tall, and I'll take a person that does this, and I'll take a person in finance, and I'll make the ratio 5 miles so I don't have to go that far. And the apps filter out height, race, income, weight, all kinds of things, because we have this fantasy in our minds. And so you are blocking out a huge number of people and then bitching that everybody's seeing the same 4% of the people online. And everybody's doing it. And so go back to your filters, reset them, and be more open. The other thing I would tell you is talk to people in lines. Actually go about your life and talk to people,
Right.
because you're not. And when you're not open to meeting anybody anywhere you go, you are closing yourself off to 95% of the people that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I get the research. Everybody's meeting online. I believe it. And there are so many more people out there. And the more you are going first in the conversation, the more that you are putting yourself into situations. Another thing that you should be doing is, if you have certain things that you really love to do, whether it's painting or stand-up comedy, take a class. Because guess what? You're now in a class with people that are interested in the same things.
Right.
And so I personally think we have become so narrowly focused on just meeting people in this cattle car of online dating. It's just one way. And in doing so, though, you've also closed yourself off to everyone else around you. But I would truly, if this is a pattern, I would truly look at what is it about these people. Are you always the girlfriend before the wife? Are you always the hookup before the commitment? Are you the person whose standards are so low because you're accepting this? Like, you're showing up and sleeping with the person.
Right.
At some point, you have to say, let me remind myself that I get to choose what I accept in my life. And if table scraps are what you want, keep eating them.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a 5-star meal, then stop fucking snacking on the table scraps, because all the time that you're spending with somebody that isn't giving you what you want in life and what you deserve is time that is keeping you from meeting the right person.
Right. I love that. I think that's great. But what would, and I think that's great advice. And what would you say? Because I think we get this a lot too. You talk about like expanding your app filters and things like that. What do you say to someone? Because a lot of times you'll say that to someone and they're like, it's almost insulting. I'm not going to settle. Why would I?
Okay,
why would
great.
I change my
Then
standards?
enjoy being single.
Right.
How is changing your filter settling?
I don't want to settle for a guy that's shorter than whatever it is. I don't want to settle for a guy. I don't want to settle for a girl who lives in Hoboken.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I want what I think I deserve, someone who's exactly what I.
Okay, you know what that sounds
think,
like?
yeah.
Narcissism and victimhood.
It's you.
That sounds like a
me.
person. No, seriously, that sounds like a person who has actually closed themselves off
Uh-huh.
to what is possible in your life. Because the person that you choose to spend your life with is the single most impactful decision you will make in your life.
Right.
And how sad that you have reduced the most spiritual and magical thing in your life to a fucking checklist.
Right. And I think it's so interesting because the people who usually have those extreme filters are usually the ones who are dating the guys who are not interested in them.
You want to know why? Because they are revealing the guys that is on everybody's wish list. And so the person that's never interested in you, if your filters are like this, everybody has filtered to the same person.
Right. Great for that person.
Maybe.
That's why they're so aloof.
Actually, maybe not.
I know you have to go soon, but let's talk about Jared, for example, who I would say is the person that a lot of people filter to, right? I have no shortage of people who are trying to date you. And it's almost like in that way, you're just talking
But
about,
that
like,
doesn't
that's
matter.
almost
What the fuck do you want? Like, do you actually want to get married?
I'd like to get married.
No, do you want to get married?
Yeah.
And do you want children?
Yeah.
Great. And so what is the issue?
Well, that you're married and have children in a situation that feels like a prison. That could be.
That is
to
so
the wrong
inspiring.
person.
Someone whose shit is all over their bathroom vanity.
Right. Someone's got a messy bathroom.
Is that really it? That you actually are afraid you're going to make a mistake?
Yeah, I think that's like not like a pretty relatable thing for people.
And what is the pattern that you get into?
You kind of get to the next spot
Mm-hmm.
in the dating process, and you go, okay, now.
And
we're
what's the
gonna,
next spot for you?
I think it would be being in a committed relationship, like going from
Right before that. Date.
Now,
like,
what does committed mean to you? Because committed means a bazillion different things to people.
Committed to me would mean that you're dating and you're, only seeing one another.
So you're talking about the very low bar
Yeah.
of being exclusive with somebody.
Right.
That is what scares you?
Yeah, I think that scares me.
Why?
To a certain level. Because I know at my age, at 39 right now, that I would be gung-ho for that person. That wouldn't be like...
he can't
let's
casually
see.
date someone
I
at
wouldn't-
39 in his
Yeah,
I
but
wouldn't be
why
cat-
wouldn't
I
you
wouldn't
want
be
to be in that space of being really excited and into...
I would love to be.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I would love to be. I just, I want to be able to feel that excitement. And if I'm at the doorstep of it and I'm even thinking of it, I go, then maybe I'm not that excited for.
Well, how does the person that everyone's filtering to?
I don't think I'm the person everyone's.
I think you have no shortage of women who want to go out with you.
I could go on dates are not a problem.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I think.
But then that's what she's
Then
describing.
you're not as discerning.
I think I'm probably not as discerning as maybe I would put on.
Well, then here's what I would what I would say to you. You need to have a reckoning with yourself, where you know that the truth is that you actually are ready to find the person you want to spend your life with. You're casually dating because you want to, and people only change when they're ready to change. Like somebody only gets sober when drinking is more painful than doing the hard work to face what they're running from. And there is something that you are afraid of, and you will not change your behavior until you have a very big kind of reckoning with yourself that this actually matters to me. It's not a joke. And I'm no longer casually dating because I do want to find the love of my life. I do want to feel safe with somebody. I do want to be in a committed partnership with somebody that makes me feel like I'm at ease and this is my person and you deserve that. And so it's not going to happen until you're clear that this is what you want.
Right.
And if you're not clear that that's what you want, that's okay.
Sure.
But it won't happen until you are. Like, I don't think you just kind of bump into somebody. The point is go have fun, sleep with a bunch of people, but don't dick around when you get to that point where it's now about your time and energy, because it's not about the other person. It's about you respecting your time and energy and no longer pouring it into things that aren't going where you want your life to go. That's what it's about. And I'm not saying it's easy. The let them theory makes it possible for you to navigate what is a very emotional, and it can drive you crazy. And it's scary to think, oh my God, am I single again? Oh my God, am I starting over? Oh my God, am I putting, yes, you are. Because it's worth it.
I guess the one thing from the let them theory that it gets caught up from me.
Yeah, please.
From my perspective of guy who's not sure about opting in is I am many times in many of my dating scenarios being the one that's being let.
What do you mean?
I'm the one, let them. Let them text. Let them make the date. Let them make the plan.
So you're not with somebody that's actually proactive?
I'm saying when I date, I get in a position a lot of times of someone waiting on me to make the move to show that I'm
That's not on you.
interested.
That's on them.
Well, how does that work from my perspective of like, because I do think like this works from I'm dealing with buffoon of dude who won't clean up his area.
Yeah. No. Here, it's very simple.
Well, let them. And I understand that perspective. Yep. It's hard to see it from the other perspective of like, when I say like I'm casually dating until a relationship, that's not me fucking around. That's me dating one person and then going, am I going to make this for real or not? Am I going to, and this may sound small, but to put on social media. Like if I was to put someone I'm dating on social media, I would have to deal with that.
Of course.
That would be my responsibility to them.
Yes.
I would have to deal with their feelings from maybe taking that back. So
Let them be disappointed. Mm-hmm. Let them be heartbroken. Let them deal with their feelings.
Sorry.
No, because here's the thing. You're not their parent.
For a lot of men. Yeah. I think this is right now in a world of dating.
Yeah.
I'll bring up like, this kind of gets right-winged a little bit, but if you look at what's going on TikTok.
Yeah.
Slam dunking on dudes. Slam dunking. Every woman's story time. Let me tell you about this guy that I fucked once and then ran away when I wanted to commit. He is always going to be, in the...
Jared, here's the biggest takeaway. You're never going to be able to control what someone else does. True. And what you're now describing is that you're giving power to another person's thoughts or future actions. And you're changing your behavior.
Sure.
Because you're trying to manage something that you will never be able to control.
You need to let them.
How would I let them?
Let them.
Let them be mad at you if you
let them be disappointed. Let them be mad at you. You're not their parent.
Yes.
Right.
It's not your job. Your job is to take responsibility for your life. Mm-hmm. Your job is to communicate clearly with compassion and truth. And if you get to the point where you no longer want to be with somebody, you tell them that this is not going in a direction where I want to continue to put time and energy into it. I think you're great. And I just know that I value my time and energy. And if they slam dunk you on social media, fucking let them.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing you can do. And so I prefer to say, let them think negative thoughts. Let them tell lies. Because if I pour any time and energy into it, I'm actually giving it power. And when you know who you are, and when you operate based on what you value and what your character is, you know the truth. When you're proud of yourself because of how you show up in life, let them tell lies.
Right.
Let them draw attention. You're not even going to think about it because you're proud of yourself and you know who you are.
Do you feel helped?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Every episode I feel helped. Listen, everyone go buy the book.
I've got it here if you're watching on YouTube.
Because everybody else is going to be saying
cover.
let them to you.
Can I keep
you
this?
know this
Well, I'm Mr.
No, you need to let.
being
I
led.
agree with you. He needs to let them act however they're going to act.
Everyone go follow Mel Robbins on all social media. Go buy the book, The Let Them Theory. It is out right now in the description of this episode. And the Mel Robbins podcast, it's out. You can go listen to it. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate
Thank
it. And we'll be back next week. Boom.
Bye.
You Up is produced by Candice Maniga and Shannon Sassone. Edited by Emily Freed. Social media by Candice Maniga. Booking by Adley Freelander. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to our show. Send your emails to youup@betches.com. And check out you.up.podcast on Instagram.